So let's start by talking about your new EP that's coming out on April 28th, Canvas. Why did you choose that name?
Yeah, I'm a big word person. I love words that kind of, for lack of, no pun intended, paint a picture, and this one definitely does that. I think that we're all a blank canvas. I know for me and what my purpose is in my music career, I'm a blank canvas, and I want God to tell a story through me. So I just want to be a part of this beautiful picture that He's already painting, and I think that's all of our outlooks on Christianity and our walk with the Lord. We have a beautiful opportunity to be a part of what He's doing. So that's kind of the backstory of why it's called Canvas. The song kind of follows suit, but this EP is really a journey of starting in a dry desert place with a song like Build a Boat, and then ending with a song called Unbreakable, which is just realizing that, man, I've been through some hills and valleys in this life, but I'm still standing. So if those things didn't knock me down, nothing's going to. So just this really empowering song. So really excited for you guys to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, what I love about your music is you're always hitting on something really deep that kind of convicts people, makes us think. "Build a Boat" is a great example of that. Just a powerful song, a great song musically, and then the message at the core of it. Where do you sort of derive that? You know, I guess that inspiration for this music because again, you go deep and you really hit people with what matters. So where does that inspiration come from?
I really appreciate you saying that. It means a lot. Man, I see every song as an opportunity to do more than just be a good tune or a easy listen, or it's an opportunity to maybe uh, open up your mind to something you haven't thought of before, or maybe it's revelation that God has given me directly. I'm like, man, I've got to share this. Um, Build a Boat, prime example. I was reading the story of Noah and was just so inspired by his faith, and I feel like we don't give him enough credit because the Bible just says that he was obedient. He did everything exactly the way God asked him to. There was no back and forth. We've got movies like Evan Almighty, which is just this hour and a half long argument between Evan and God, right? But that didn't exist. So I'm like, man, it just really challenged me in my own faith. Um, just when God asks me to do something, to come with a yes. He's looking for a yes. So that's what Build a Boat's all about. It's like, regardless of where you're at, it's like when God asks you to do something, it's in your best interest. Don't miss out on it. So yeah, with every song, it's an opportunity to present an idea like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading through Numbers right now, and I look at Moses. I mean, Moses is amazing, but like Moses
Yeah,
is constantly like kind of going back to God and having that back and forth, right? Which I
for
know is
sure.
more like what I'm like, right? If I had to pair it up,
100%. Yeah,
yeah. And it's like, and then you think about Noah, and you're like, how crazy must have everybody thought he was building this giant boat, and they're like, yeah, okay, like the storm is coming, and
for
it is
sure.
amazing. It's incredible to me. It really is. It's a
Yeah,
great.
I mean, he was the village idiot, no doubt about it. Like, even in his own family, like I couldn't imagine like what he must have been dealing with, but still to just be steadfast in what God asked him to do is really remarkable. So challenged me a lot.
Yeah, and so you put the song out, and the song has been huge, and you have another version of the song that's out. What has surprised you maybe about the reception? Because of course you want every song to be a big song, but it feels like this one. You've had a lot of hits. This one feels different to me. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're absolutely right. This is my only number one that I've ever had at um, Christian AC radio, which is crazy. I've had a lot of songs get close, but this is the one that kind of broke through on paper, I will say, for me. Man, the coolest thing about this song is we're out on the Build a Boat tour right now. Biggest headline tour I've ever been able to do, and that's thanks to everyone who listens to the song. But seeing people not just light up when we get to that song, but I can just tell that it means something to them beyond it's their favorite song to listen to. I can tell it's impacted them, or it's the song that they're clinging to in a dry season. And man, that's what I want all my music to do. I want it to leave people better than they were before they press play on that song. Like I want this to be, a life song or an anthem for you in whatever season that you're in. So to see a song doing that at the capacity it's done it is just unbelievable. I don't even know what else to say about it. It's just crazy. Yeah,
It's interesting, like, when we think about music, and for so long in my life, I would listen to music and, I would do it because I like the beat or whatever, even as a
sure.
Christian growing up, and then, like, now that I'm older and I'm listening to music and I hear some of the things that are in secular radio, and I'm like, "What in the world is going on?"
You're
It's like,
telling me, yeah,
it's like, "What?" And it's either nonsense or it's actually damaging messaging, and I've
yeah,
had this new appreciation of the power of music, especially with kids now, that if I'm in
mm,
the car and I have something on, they're listening to it, and those words, you were talking about words before,
yeah,
they matter. So as
they
an
do.
artist, for you, like, what does it mean for you? And you were kind of speaking to this a little bit before, but to be able to, in a world where that kind of negative messaging is there, to be able to use music to actually inspire people, what is that like for your heart, just as a human being?
Um, Man, I feel like there's two sides of this. One, I can't believe that God called me to be able to do that. Like I just cannot believe that He's using me. And time and time again, like you read stories in the Bible of God using ill-equipped people to carry out, His plan. David and Goliath, perfect example. Like David had no business
None.
being on the
None at
battlefield,
all.
let alone taking on the giant. And God's like, no, who I call, I equip. And He equipped David for the task, and it was just this amazing underdog story. But so that's on one hand. Like I feel like David, in the middle of all these giants, but for some reason God has called me to it, and we're just going to keep attacking it head on. Honored to be able to do it. On the flip side, there's such a responsibility in knowing that, man, what I write does matter. So, like, I feel like every Christian artist at one point in their career goes, does every song have to be, like methodical, theological, like deep? Can I write a fun song? Can I write a relationship song? Can I whatever? And I'm not saying those are bad things, but when you realize the audience that we have and the ears that are listening, and it just really, especially now being a dad, I have 2.5-year-old girls, and as we're trying to find like TV shows that are okay for them, thank God for Bluey. It's just like, man, it's tough. There's a lot of damaging things out there in the world. So the responsibility, I just feel the weight of that sometimes. And it just brings me back to why I do what I do, which is to love on people and to tell them about Jesus, whether that's in a direct or a roundabout way. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think, yeah, it's so hard with kids. Just I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I'm constantly trying to make sure, like, especially with my 10-year-old, because she's older now, like she's hearing things, she
sure.
understands things. Am I exposing her to the right things? And so, and they love Build a Boat, by the way. My
Oh,
7-year-old is
awesome.
obsessed with Build a Boat.
I
It's like
love
if
it.
we get in the car every day, like put Build a Boat on. Um, but I have to ask you this too, because culturally, when you're making music that matters, right?
Mm,
You're doing it in a culture that is obviously having a lot of struggles right now. Our culture's kind of falling apart in a lot of ways spiritually, and yet we're watching these really crazy things happen in terms of the word revivals being thrown around. I'm sure you
sure.
saw the Asbury stuff. You've
Yeah.
got Jesus Revolution, and so
Yeah.
it feels like there's something happening in the
Yeah.
culture at the same time. What has it been like for you, just as an artist contributing in a positive way to the culture, to watch all of these events unfold?
Well, man, I think Christianity and even when Jesus was here, it was counterculture. And so I don't know that that's ever going to necessarily change. Even during the revivals when Billy Graham was around, like it was counterculture. I think that was part of the appeal. Like, people are always looking to like what's the rebellious thing to do? What's the, whatever. And for a time it was the Jesus revolution, which is that's the right kind of rebel you want to be, right?
Right.
Great movie, by the way. But yeah, I love that. I'm always cheering on anything that's going on that's promoting Jesus. Sean Feucht, I'm not sure how to say his last name, but even just seeing him during all the COVID stuff, like having these worship gatherings, and I won't get political or go into the COVID thing, but man, it was just really cool to see people getting set free. Like, regardless of what you think about it, people were getting delivered, and I think that's freaking awesome. And I would love to see more and more of that. Would love to be a part of that. Um, we go city to city, and it's what we do is such an interesting balance between entertainment. Like my job is music, and I'm a performer, but I get to tell people about Jesus at my job, which is awesome. But whereas it's a weird juxtaposition, we still are seeing some of those same things. Like we're seeing people like they're hearing a song for the first time, and it's just like the light bulb goes off like in their mind, and it's like, yes, it's like that's what we want. That's why I tour. So I'm really excited to see what happens. I would definitely be down for full blown revival. Lord knows that we need it.
Yeah.
And yeah, but the Bible also says that the dark's going to get darker and the light's going to get lighter. So I think it's just important as believers to start cutting out some gray areas and making sure that we're sharp and ready for whatever it is that's coming.
Yeah, no, I love that you said that because I think a lot of people think it's an either or. You have to pick, right? Like culture's going to denigrate and things are going to get terrible, which is what a lot of us believe scripture tells us, right?
Sure.
Or, oh, we're going to have this big revival. It's like, well, you can have these pockets of revival at the same time that culture's going down that path, right? There, you can have
Yeah.
both of those things. And I think you were just saying you get to see some of this like on a microcosm, but also at a pretty big level when you're at concerts, when you're interacting, you're seeing that light turn on. I love what you said there when so much of culture is turning the lights out on people, right? So
Yep.
it's incredible and love the work you do. The
Thanks, man.
EP, the EP is Canvas. It hits on April 28th. Appreciate you.
Man, thank you so much. Good to talk to you.